Hey guys, welcome to my channel. We are reading A Dog's Journey by W. Bruce Cameron. And we are on chapter 9. Clarity had lots of friends who would come over to play with me, and gradually I came to understand that her name was now CJ. People can do that, change the names of things, though I was still Molly. Gloria's name was Gloria, and also Mother. Only Gloria called CJ Clarity anymore. It worked the other way, too. Sometimes the names would stay the same, but the people would change. That's how the vet, which was another name for Dr. Deb, was now what CJ called Dr. Marty. He was as nice as Dr. Webb, but with hair between his nose and lip, and strong hands that touched me very gently. My favorite of all of CJ's friends was Trent, the boy who took care of Rocky. Trent was taller than CJ, and his hair was dark, and he always smelled like Rocky. When Trent came to visit, he usually brought my brother, and the two of us would tear around in the backyard, wrestling with each other. We would play until we collapsed and exhaustion spiraled out on the lawn. Often I would lie panting on top of my brother, holding his legs in my mouth, out of sheer affection. Rocky was stockier than I was, and taller too, but he usually let me pin him when I wanted. When I had him down, I always noticed that the darker brown of his muzzle matched the color of my legs. He was otherwise a lighter brown color. I found that as the days became warmer, I could measure my growth by assessing Rocky's. My brother was no longer a gawing puppy, and neither was I. Rocky was completely devoted to Trent. In the middle of play, he would suddenly break off and run over to Trent to be petted. I'd follow him, and CJ would pet me too. You think he's maybe Sniger Poodle? CJ asked Trent. A Snoodle. I don't think so. Maybe a Doberman Poodle? Trent said. A Doodle? I wagged as my name and gave CJ a friendly nudge with my nose. Ethan had called me a doodle dog. It was a special name that carried with it all the love a boy could have for a dog. Hearing CJ say it reminded me of the connection between my boy and CJ, my girl, or a spinal of some kind. Trent speculated. Molly, you could be a schnoozle, a spoodle, or a doodle, but you're not a poodle, CJ told me, holding me closer and kissing my nose. I wagged with pleasure. Hey, watch this, Rocky. Sit, Trent commanded. Rocky stared at Trent alertly, sitting down and holding still. Good boy. I'm not teaching Molly any tricks, CJ said. I get enough orders in my own life. Are you kidding me? Dogs want to work. They crave it, don't you? Rocky's good boy. Sit. Well, I knew what the word meant. It's time when Rocky sat. I sat too. Look, Molly, figured it out by watching Rocky. You're such a good dog, Molly. I wagged up being a good dog. There were other commands I knew too, but CJ didn't say any of them. Rocky rolled on his back for a tummy rub, and I put my teeth on his throat. Hey, so, Trent said. Rocky froze, then struggled out of my grip. I'd felt it too, and suddenly whiffed of fear from Trent. Rocky pushed his muzzle as Trent's hand while I checked on CJ, who was smiling up at the sky, unaware of any danger. Maybe, CJ, maybe we should go to prom together this year. What? No, are you kidding? You don't go to prom with your friends. That's not what it's for. Yeah, but what? CJ rolled over, brushing her hair back from her face. God, Trent, ask someone pretty. What about Susan? I know she likes you. No, I'm pretty. Trent said. Come on. You know you're pretty. CJ slugged him lightly in the arm. Yeah, goof. Trent was frowning and looking at the ground. What? CJ asked. Nothing. Come on, let's go to the park. We went for a walk. Rocky held us up, sniffing and marking the bushes while I stuck close to CJ's side. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a little box, but it wasn't a treat. There was a flare of fire, and then a smell of smoke was coming out of her mouth. I knew that odor. It was in all of CJ's clothes, and it was often on her breath. So what's probation like? The whole house arrested thing? Trent wanted to know. It's nothing. I just have to go to school. It's not even real probation. Gloria act like I'm some kind of like felon. CJ laughed, then coughed out more smoke. You get to keep the dog, though? Both Rocky and I look up at the word dog. I'm moving out the second I turn 18. Yeah, how are you going to manage that? I'll join the army if I have to. I'll go to the nursery. I have to survive until I'm 21. Rocky and I found something deliciously dead to sniff, but CJ and Trent kept walking, and our leashes pulled us back before either one of us could roll in it. Sometimes people let their dogs take the time to smell everything important, but most of the time they walk too fast and the wonderful opportunities are lost. What happens at 21? Trent asked. That's when I get the first half of trust fund my dad left me. Yeah, how much? Like $1 million? No way. There is a settlement with the airline after the crash. Enough to pay for college and for me to move to New York and take my acting to the next level. A squirrel was hopping along the grass a few houses away from us. It froze. Realized a fatal mistake. Rocky and I lowered our heads and charged, straining against our leashes. Hey, Trent said, laughing. He ran with us, but with him and CJ holding us back, the squirrel was able to make it to the tree and dash up, chattering at us. Otherwise, we most surely would have caught it. We traced the same squirrel on the way back home. Did the stupid thing want to be caught? Every so often, CJ would say, want to go to the vet? Roughly translating, this meant we're going to a car ride in the front seat to see Dr. Marty. I always responded enthusiastically, even when I came home one day wearing a stupid collar, a plastic cone of magnified all sounds and made it difficult to eat and drink. It had taken me a long time to get used to the idea, but eventually I had learned that people like to put their dogs in stupid collars from time to time. When I next saw Rocky, he was wearing the same kind of collar. It made wrestling difficult, but we managed. Poor Rocky, singing a Sparno now, Trent said. CJ laughed, smoking coming from her nose and mouth. Soon after the stupid collar came off, we started doing art buildings, which was where we'd go to a quiet place and I'd munch on a chew toy while CJ sat and played with smelly sticks of paper. Everyone at art building knew my name and petted me and sometimes fed me. It was so different from at home, where CJ hugged me and cuddled me and Gloria just pushed me away if I tried to greet her in any fashion. Gloria never touched CJ either way, which was why it was good I was there. In a way, being held by CJ was my most important function. I could feel the lonely ache inside her melting away as we lay together on her bed. I would wag and kiss her and even nibble lightly on her arm, so happy to be with my girl. When CJ wasn't home, I lived downstairs. Trent came over and he and CJ put a dog door on the basement. Oh my goodness. On the basement door so that I could go out into the backyard if I wanted. I loved going in and out through that dog door. There was always something fun to do on the other side. Sometimes when I was out in the yard, I could see Gloria standing at the window, watching me. I always wagged. Gloria was mad at me for some reason, but I knew from experience that people can't stay mad at the dog forever. One day when CJ came home, it was late enough the sun had set. She hugged me for a long time and was sad and upset. Then we went into her bedroom and she vomited. I yawned and paced anxiously. I never knew what to do when this happened. CJ and I both looked up at the same time, and there was Gloria standing in the doorway watching us. You wouldn't have to do that so much if you didn't eat so much, Gloria said. Oh, Mother, CJ replied. She stood and went to her sink and drank water. How did your auditions go? Gloria asked. Terrible. I didn't get anything. It's like you have to have been doing drama this whole year or they won't even consider casting you. Well, if they don't want my daughter in their summer play, it's their loss. It hardly matters. No one ever got to be an actress by being in plays in high school. That's right, Gloria. Who ever heard of an actor acting? I was just saying that I never sang in high school, and it didn't slow me down one bit. I am noticing all the record companies beating down on our door lately. Gloria crossed her arms. I had a very promising career till I got pregnant with you. Once you have a baby, it's all different. What are you saying? You couldn't sing anymore because you had a baby? Did you ever deliver me through your esophagus? You've never thanked me, not once. I'm supposed to thank you for giving birth? Seriously? Do they make cards for that? Like, thanks for letting me hang out in your uterus for 9 months. I launched myself up and landed with expert placement at the foot of the bed. Get off, Gloria snapped. Guiltily, I jumped down and slumped to the floor, my head lowered. It's okay, Molly. You're a good girl. CJ soothed. What do you got against dogs, Gloria? I just don't see the attraction. They're messy and foul-smelling. They lick. They don't do anything useful. You'd feel different if you just spent time with one, CJ replied, petting me. I have. My mother had a dog when I was little. You never told me that. She used to kiss it on the mouth, and it was disgusting, Gloria continued. She'd always loving it up. It was fat, and it just lie in her lap all day, and it didn't do anything useful. Just sat and watched me clean the house. Well, Molly's not like that. You spend all your money on dog food and vet bills when there are so many nice things we could buy. Now that I have Molly, I don't need anything else. CJ scratched my ear, and I leaned into it, groaning a little. I see. The dog gets all the credit, and your mother gets nothing. Gloria turned away and walked out of the door. CJ got up and shut it, and then cuddled with me on the bed. We're getting out of here as soon as we can, I promise, Molly, CJ said. I licked her in the face. I was a good dog who was taking care of Ethan's child, but it wasn't just because it was what he would want. I loved CJ. I loved falling asleep in her arms and walking with her and going to do art building. What I didn't love was the boy named Shane who started coming over all the time. Gloria was very often not home in the evening, so Shane and CJ would cuddle on the couch. Shane's hand smelled of the same smoke of permanent CJ's clothing. He always said hello to me, but I could tell he didn't really like me. The way he petted me was too perfunctory. A dog can always tell. I didn't trust people who don't like dogs. One evening, Trent and Rocky came over. When Shane was there, Rocky was very alert, staring up at Trent, who didn't sit down. I could feel Trent's anger and sadness, and obviously Rocky could too. I tried to engage Rocky in a little wrestling, but he wasn't interested. He was focused on Trent. Oh, hey, just thought I'd come by and, Trent said. He kicked at the carpet a little. As you can see, she's busy, Shane said. Yeah, Trent said. No, come in. We're just watching TV, CJ said. No, I better go, Trent said. After he left, I went to the window and looked out and saw him standing next to his car, gazing at the house for a long minute before he opened the door and drove off. Rocky was in the front seat. The next day, CJ didn't come home from school right away, so I chewed sticks in the backyard and watched some birds, hopping from tree to tree. Barking at birds seldom does any good, because birds don't understand they are supposed to be afraid of dogs, and will just go about their business. I have eaten dead birds before, and they are not satisfying at all. And I probably won't eat a live one if I caught it, though. I wouldn't mind trying to see if it's being alive improved the taste anyway. I was startled when Gloria slid open the back door. Here, Molly, want a treat? She called. I cautiously approached, wagging my tail and keeping my rear end lowered submissively. Gloria usually didn't talk to me unless I was in trouble for something. Well, come on, she said. I entered the house and she closed the door behind me. You like cheese? She asked. I wagged and I followed her into the kitchen. She headed towards the refrigerator, so I watched her alertly and was rewarded with the usual rush of delicious odors that swam out of the flood of the cold air. She rustled something. It's all moldy, but that's okay for dogs, right? You want this? Gloria held out a big hunk of cheese at the end of the metal fork. I sniffed it, then very, very attentively chewed at it, waiting for her to get angry. Hurry up, she said. I pulled the cheese off the fork, dropped it to the floor, then ate it with a few gulps. Okay, so maybe she wasn't angry at me anymore. Here, Gloria said. With a clang, she dropped a huge hunk of cheese into the food bowl. Make yourself useful. Ridiculous. We spent so much money on premium dog food when you could be cleaning up our throwaways. I'd never before given more than a little bit of cheese at a time, so to have all this at once was an unexpected luxury. I picked up the heavy block, unsure as how to begin. Gloria left the kitchen, so I just concentrated on eating the cheese a bit time. By the time I was finished, I was drooling a little, and I lapped up most of my water. Gloria came through the kitchen a little while later. Finished, she said. She went to the rear door and slid it open. Okay, out, she ordered. I got the drift of what she was saying and hurried movingly through the door into the backyard. I felt better out there. I didn't know when CJ would be home, and I missed her. I went through the dog door into the basement and curled up in my pillow, wishing she was there with me. I fell asleep, but when I woke up I felt sick. I paced for a while, panting. I was drooling and I was thirsty and my legs were trembling. Eventually all I could do was stand there, shaking, too weak to move. I heard CJ's footstep and she was home. She opened the door at the top of the stairs. Molly, come upstairs, CJ called. I knew I had to do what she asked. I took a step, dizzy, my head low. Molly, CJ came down the stairs. Molly, are you okay, Molly? This time when she said my name, it was screaming. I wanted to go to her and let her know it was okay, but I just couldn't budge. When she came to me and picked me up, it sounded like my head was buried under the covers, everything muffled and quiet. Mom! There's something wrong with Molly, CJ yelled. She carried me up the stairs and past Gloria, who was sitting on the couch. CJ ran with me out to the driveway. When CJ set me down to open her car door, I vomited exclusively in the grass. Oh my God, what is that? What did you eat? Oh, Molly! I was a front seat dog for the car ride, but couldn't even lift my head to the window when CJ opened it. Molly, we're going to the vet, okay? Molly! Are you okay? Molly, please! I could feel the pain of her fear in CJ, but I couldn't move. It was getting dark in the car, darker and darker. I felt my tongue flop out of my mouth. Molly! CJ shouted, Molly! All right, guys. And that is the end of chapter 9. I will see you guys in chapter 10. Have a good day.